All right, welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick for this week's breakout watch list from May 31st to June 3rd. In this video, we'll be breaking down the top setups going into next week. And remember, it's a shortened trading week because Monday is off for Memorial Day. Each of the stocks that we'll cover today either have strong fundamentals, strong technicals, or have volume patterns that lead to stronger uptrends. This video is sponsored by MarketSmith, which is the trading research platform that we're going to be using to break down each of the stock setups. If you guys enjoy the platform and want to give it a try yourself, there's a link in the description below. And finally, if you're coming for a specific setup, there's going to be timestamps in the comment section below so you guys can go to exactly what you want to see. Here are the stocks that we're going to be covering today. There are 5 individual stocks and then 3 groups: oil and gas, solar, and shipping. Can't spend too much time on this slide because we got a lot of charts to go over. We'll start with the individual stocks first. So we have ACHC. This is in medical output healthcare, 36th strongest group out of 197. It's an A- group strength rating. It's got a B- accumulation distribution. Ideally, that's a little bit higher. We want more people accumulating the stocks, so heavy volume up days versus heavy volume down days. It's got an overall composite rating of 92 and an individual relative strength rating of 94. Whenever we see 90s in both of those categories, it's a stock that I want to have at least on a general watch list. Fundamentally, in the last quarter, we had earnings per share up 43%, sales up 12%, and after-tax profit margins improving by 11%. Within the group of 17 stocks, it's number 1 on relative strength, number 1 on overall composite, and number 8 on earnings per share rating. Taking a look at fund ownership, we want to see big money flowing into the stock, and that's not what we see here, at least not yet. We went from 590 in September of 2021 to 576 to 557. So fund ownership has been declining. That is one yellow flag on the setup. Looking at the technicals here, you can see a nice move from 50.07 all the way up to 76.69 here. That's about a 50% increase. From there, we pull back to the 50-day moving average, this red line. We do undercut it for 1, 2, 3, 4 closes here. But since then, market pressure lifted a little bit. This shot back over the 50, the 21, and the 8-day EMA before pulling in, tightening up. And then on Friday, we put in an inside candle. So we're looking for a break over Thursday's high, 72.98 as a potential entry point come Tuesday. Next, we have CAL. This is in retail apparel, shoes, and accessories, 175th out of 197. So a very weak group, but just last week, we saw retail really soak up a lot of money. So something has changed in that group that we want to be aware of. This is D- group strength rating, B accumulation distribution, 90 overall composite, along with a 95 individual relative strength rating. And as you can see, MarketSmith shows that this is a relative strength new high. Whenever you see that, that's a stock that you want to have at least on your general radar. Fundamentally, very strong. Earnings per share last 4 quarters, 309, 231, over 1,000, and then 120, increasing year over year. Sales up 35, 21, 19, 15, and after-tax profit margins improving as well. Within the group of 34 stocks, it's number 1 on relative strength, number 1 on overall composite, so good to see there. Taking a look, just last week, we had a gap down on Tuesday, gap back up when we had earnings on Wednesday, Thursday follow through, Friday follow through, and we're building a pivot right at $30. So couple things, this is a little bit extended. Obviously, we just ran from 20 to basically 30, a 50% increase in 4 trading days. I would love for this to pull back and kind of flag out under $30, just as we had seen resistance at 29.36, 29.04. This nice round number, 30, that's where I want to potentially enter the stock, but after some consolidation underneath, allow the people who got in on the low that are up 50%, give them a reason to sell. Anyone who got trapped at these 29 areas, now they can get out for break even. There's a reason to sell. So I would love to see this kind of flag out along with market pressure coming back in after a nice 3-day rally that we've seen in the market. So see how this acts around 30 after some consolidation. Next, we have the stock PLAB. And although it's extended a little bit in the short term, the amount of volume coming in as this breaks into all-time highs while the general market is still in correction cannot be ignored. This is a stock that you have to have on a general watch list. It is in semiconductor group, 102nd strongest out of 197. So generally a weak group right now, but again, still breaking into all-time highs at this point. It's got an earnings per share rating of 99, C+ group strength rating, A- accumulation distribution, 99 overall composite rating, the highest MarketSmith gives, and a 96 individual relative strength rating. Taking a look at the fundamentals, this has been strong for the last 4 quarters, year over year. We saw earnings per share go up 29%, 230, 192, and 188. Sales were up 8, 21, 25, 28, and after-tax profit margins improving 8, 14, 12, and 11%. Within the group of 31 stocks, it's number 1 on earnings per share, number 1 on relative strength, number 1 on accumulation distribution, and no surprise, number 1 overall composite rating. Fund ownership, while many funds have been backing out of stocks in this market as we've been in a correction and a bear market, especially in tech names, this is not that way. You see fund ownership increasing from 367, 396, 401 to 414. So even while tech names have been in a very strong bear market, this stock has been accumulated by funds. So it is extended. We just went from 14 something over to $20. But what I want to see here is if we pull back, if the market pulls back, starting next week, pulling back into 20, how this $20 range holds. That's where we had previous resistance. You see 1993, 2030 at this last point. So if we pull into 20, as volume dries up on that pullback, how do we manage our risk against 20? That's the area I'm looking for PLAB. Next, we have another stock breaking into new highs for the year. This is OPCH, Medical Services, 105th out of 197. So C+ group strength rating, not super strong there, but A- accumulation distribution, 96 overall composite with a 96 individual relative strength rating. This had earnings, what day was this? On April 28th, where we saw earnings per share growth of 950%, sales up 21%, after-tax profit margins improved by 4%. Within the group, let's go over there. Within the group of 44 stocks, again, not a super strong group, but of those 44 stocks, it's number 3 on earnings per share, number 2 on relative strength, 1 on accumulation distribution, and number 1 on overall composite rating. Fund ownership on this has been also increasing from 401 to 537 over the last 4 quarters. Again, that is not typical of many stocks in this market, so it's good to see that that is fighting that downtrend. You can see the relative strength line just basically in a very strong uptrend as this chops sideways. Eventually, we break over 30 on Friday on heavier than average volume. You can see this red line is the 50-day average volume line. So heavier than average volume, closed right at the high of the day, back over 30 and into a new high. Similar to PLAB, I want to see if the market pulls back, how this acts against this round number 30, which served as resistance in this mini rally attempt here. So as it comes into 30, as the market pressure, as selling comes back into the market, how do we react around 30? That's where I want to start a position with OPCH. Next, we have VERU. It's a very volatile stock, so if I'm going to start a position in this name, it's going to be with a smaller position size, a little bit wider stop. This is in medical products, 151 out of 197, D+ group strength rating, A- accumulation distribution, 52 composite, along with a 99 individual relative strength rating. Does not have the fundamentals to talk about, negative earnings per share, sales are on the decline, after-tax profit margins negative at this point. But within the group of 141, it's number 1 on relative strength, number 25 on composite, so within the group, very strong stock. And this did see a decline in March from fund ownerships, 179 to 163, but not super pronounced, still over September's funds. And what I like about the stock is it has the power to break out and make these short, quick, powerful moves. You see, we went from $4.84 all the way up to $17 in just 4 trading days. Then we chopped sideways, eventually came back down to $6.70, broke right back up to $15. Since then, we've pulled back into the 21 EMA, and that found support on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The lows of days all were right around that rising 21 EMA. So with this, I'm looking for a break over Thursday's high, which would be 13.15 as a potential entry point, or if it's coming back in with additional market pressure come Tuesday, start a position as close to the 21 EMA as I can so I can keep my stop loss just slightly below Tuesday's low and keep that risk at a minimum for VERU. Next, we'll go to our group of stocks. The first one we're going to start with is oil and gas. This stock is VAL. Oil and gas drilling, second strongest group out of 197 in the market. So obviously an A+ group strength rating, A accumulation distribution, 92 overall composite with a 99 individual relative strength rating. Doesn't have the strong earnings per share we're looking for, but sales slightly increasing. This is much more of a group and technical play there. Within the group of 11 stocks, it's third on earnings per share, number 1 on relative strength, number 4 overall composite rating. Fund ownership on this IPO has been steadily increasing from 103, 153, 198, and 239. And as you can see, this has just been in a very strong uptrend since it's IPO'd, basically, in May of 2021. Now we're building higher highs, higher lows, all the way up through the $60 range, looking for a break over either Friday's high or Wednesday's high, right around $61 for VAL. Next, we have VTNR, also in the oil and gas space. This is in refining, which is the 8th strongest group out of 197. A+ group strength rating, A+ accumulation distribution, 98 overall composite, along with a 99 individual relative strength rating. Fundamentally, on earnings per share, we had negative the last quarter. Sales were up 44%, after-tax profit margins up 15%. Within the group of 29 stocks, again, 8th strongest group, this is number 1 on relative strength, number 1 on accumulation distribution, and number 4 overall composite basis. Fund ownership has been increasing the last 4 quarters from 39, 47, 54, and 70. Now looking at the chart, you can see a nice big cup here, and right where we made new highs around 14.32, we start to see people taking profits after a nice run from $3.30 all the way up to $15 here. Tried to break out last week, could not do it. A little bit of market pressure came in. We come back into the rising 8-day EMA, this green line. Since then, we have consolidated nicely as volume is drying up a little bit. Looking for, if we see continued market pressure, just more chopping sideways, allowing that 21 EMA, this pink line, to come up to provide support. Otherwise, if market pressure continues to lift, if the market continues in an uptrend come next week, looking for a break over Friday's high, which would be 14.71. Try to get in a little bit below this $15 pivot. I really like how on Friday we shook out Wednesday and Thursday's low before closing right near the high of the day at the 84th percentile there. So breaking out over Friday's high, 14.71 potential entry point. Now we get to the solar names. First we have JKS. This is an energy and solar. Weaker group, 176 out of 197, but recently it's been showing relative strength. That's why I wanted to put it out here. This one has a D- group strength rating, B+ accumulation distribution, 87 overall composite with a 96 individual relative strength rating. Earnings per share hasn't been there. We have -40 year over year, but sales up 92%. After-tax profit margins slightly improving, 1.3% there. Within the group of 21 stocks, this is number 1 on relative strength, number 5 on earnings per share, and number 2 overall composite basis. Fund ownership on this has been steadily increasing from 154, 156, 160 to 176 in March of 2020. This is building out a pivot right near $60. We did attempt to break over it on Thursday. Actually, we closed over it 60.20 there. Put in higher highs, higher lows on Friday, but eventually did close red, down 2%. So on much lower volume, as you can see. On Thursday's push, we had higher than average volume. Friday kind of pulled back, closed under the $60 range. On lower volume. So looking at a potential entry at $60, ideally on heavier volume. Going to a weekly chart quickly, you can see how this chopped sideways, really put in a long base here for weeks and weeks and weeks. And eventually when it did break out, it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 weeks just straight up from $20 to $80. That tells me that this stock has the ability to trend very quickly once it breaks out of its base. And it looks like the $60 range is its base, especially if we can get the market pressure to continue to lift and an uptrend to start. The other solar name we have is ENPH, D- group strength. We covered that already. B+ accumulation distribution, 92 overall composite with a 91 individual relative strength rating. Fundamentals on this has been very strong over the last 4 quarters. Earnings per share up 212, 100, 43, 41. Sales up 152, 97, 56, 46. After-tax profit margins improving about 24, 25% each of the last 4 quarters. Looking at within the group of 21 stocks, this is number 2 on relative strength, 2 on earnings per share, and number 1 on overall composite basis. Fund ownership did decline a little bit in March of 2022, but was in an uptrend before that. With this, we have a double bottom being pointed out by MarketSmith. We shook out the weaker hands at $50, went to 128, then rallied up, consolidated a little bit, and then on Thursday, we closed right at the 50-day and the 200-day moving average. We moved higher through that on Friday on increasing volume. So as it makes this rally from the 8, the 21 EMA, we have increasing volume on Thursday, increasing volume on Friday as market pressure lifts. This is a stock and a group that has been showing relative strength. So if market pressure dampens or selling pressure increases in the market come Tuesday, we pull back to the 50 and the 200-day moving average. That's where I would want to start a position. Otherwise, I would want to see it continue higher, put in a break over this 192 area, and then test $200. And finally, we have the shipping names. And for full disclosure, I have positions in GNK and ZIM at this point, but looking to add to those as they continue to work. So starting with GNK, transportation shipping, 13th strongest group out of 197, A+ group strength rating. This has a C accumulation distribution. That's on the weaker end, but 97 overall composite rating, along with a 97 individual relative strength rating. Fundamentals on shipping stocks have been very, very strong. Going through earnings per share, 270, over 1,000, 850, 805, and then over 1,000. Sales up 67 or 63, 77, 92, 56. After-tax profit margins improving by nearly 40%. Within the group of 28 stocks, this is number 6 on relative strength and 11 on overall composite basis. So this has a composite rating of 97, and that's only the 11th strongest of 28. That's how you know that this group is especially strong. I got in on this break over here at 2250 area. Then we gapped up on Monday and then just kind of chopped sideways, building out a pivot right above this $25 area. If we pull back on Tuesday to this 21 or the 8-day EMA, might try to add there, or if we come out breaking out over Friday's high, which would be 25.37, and we manage our risk against 25 for a new position or an add-on, that's where I would be looking for GNK. Next, we have Golden Ocean, GOGL, A+ group strength rating, B accumulation distribution, 98 overall composite basis with a 98 individual relative strength. Fundamentals off the chart here. Within the group of 28 stocks, it's number 3 on relative strength, number 6 on overall composite basis, and fund ownership has been steadily increasing. Did decline in December, but we came right back to a new high in March. You can see after this consolidation phase, just has been putting in higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, all the way through here, and now really respecting the 8-day EMA. As you can it's hard to tell here because you have the stock showing so much relative strength and putting in new highs, while the actual S&P 500 was putting in new lows. Great sign of relative strength there. Looking for a break over Friday's high, $15.91, call it $16 as a potential entry point for GOGL. And finally, we have ZIM. This is a stock that I do have a position in already, looking to add to it on Tuesday. One thing I want to point out before we get into the chart is many chart softwares don't discount the dividends that the stock has been paying out. So on like Thinkorswim, this is below some key moving averages, but this is with MarketSmith, they account for the dividends here. So you can see that we're near all-time highs, while on many other charting platforms, it's well below their highs. So A+ group strength rating, B- accumulation distribution, 97 overall composite with a 98 individual relative strength. Fundamentals, along with the other shippers, are off the charts here. Fund ownership on this has been steadily increasing from 29, 62, 90, 139, and now 185. I really like how this acted on Friday as we shook out under Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday's lows, hit that 8-day and rising 21 EMA before putting in a rally to get right back over the previous highs. So with this, looking either for a pullback to that 8, the 21 EMA again, or just breaking out over Friday's high, which would be 68.70 as a potential entry point for ZIM. And that's gonna be the breakout watch list for the upcoming week. If you guys enjoyed the video, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button and subscribe. I make breakout watch list videos like this every Sunday, along with other trading related videos. Big thanks to MarketSmith for sponsoring this video. If you guys enjoyed the trading research platform that we were using to break down each of the stocks, there's a link in the description below so you guys could try it out yourselves. And finally, if you wanna hear more from me, you can follow me on Twitter, StockTrickNick, or Stock Tricks with Nick on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Enjoy your long weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video.